Hey folks, here we are, back in the tundra. It is now officially after midnight, therefore it is now September the 11th, 2016. So that means 15 years ago today, this country was struck, and struck hard, by acts of terrorism that changed this country forever. It changed the lives of every American and every person that was to be born in the future between then and now, and so on and so forth. Everyone was affected in some way. So how was I affected? Well, first of all, it was an eye-opener. Because, we're always told, up until then, that America was untouchable. We couldn't be reached. We couldn't be attacked on the home front. But we were. How could that be? Well, they used our own resources against us. Our own aircraft flown into our buildings. They turned a means of mass travel, mass transit, into an airborne weapon, one that we weren't ready for. No agency was equipped to handle that situation. Hell, out of that event, an entire government agency was created, the Department of Homeland Security. So furthermore, I was impacted because it solidified my decision to join the United States military and then continue on into public service today. Prior to that, I had a pretty good feeling what I was going to do with my life. But those acts truly cemented what I was going to do. I knew from the moment that first tower fell that I was going to join the military. And I was going to do whatever it was I was called to do. Many others like myself did the same thing. Many of those people aren't here today. So that's what today's for. Not just mourning the fact that those tragic events happened, but remembering the lives that were affected, the lives that were lost, the lives that were forever changed. The 343 firefighters and emergency services personnel that lost their lives that day. The over 70 law enforcement personnel that lost their lives that day. And the hundreds of military and DoD personnel that lost their lives that day. Let's not forget, the attacks just didn't happen in New York. The attacks were at the Pentagon, and the attacks were in the air when that plane went down in Pennsylvania. Let's not forget, as we go about our business today, that we should remember what happened today, 15 years ago. We should reflect on what happened to us and how it's affected us. Because see, with that one event, it brought an entire country together. For that moment, and for the minutes, the hours, the days, the weeks, the months, and the years that followed, we were one. We were one people. We were one country. All with a common goal, with a common desire. It didn't matter what color you were, what race you were, what creed you were, what sex you were, what sex you thought you were, what sex you wanted to be. It didn't matter. It didn't matter where you came from. It didn't matter who you were, where you came, what you came from. It didn't matter what you did, what you didn't do, what your job was, what your job wasn't. None of that mattered. All that mattered was that you were American. It didn't matter if you were born here naturally or if you came here legally through the immigration systems. All that mattered was that you were American and that you wanted the same thing that every other American wanted, and that was to stand up, rebuild, press forward, and go after those people that did this. And for a while, that's what we did. We were all together. We were all unified, weren't we? We were all one big happy country with that one goal, with that one driving force. But then as the years went on, what happened? We slowly let all those things back into our lives, back into this country that divides us. And here we are today, 15 years later, in my opinion, more divided than we ever were. So maybe we can use today to try to bring some of that cohesion back together, to try to bring back that try to bring back that unity. Get rid of the divisions. Try to bring us all back together. Because even though 15 years later, we're still not done with this. I'm not talking just about fighting in wars. We're still growing, we're still mourning, and we're still healing. Our country was physically changed when those towers fell. New York will never look the same. As a whole, as a people, as a country, we were affected not just physically, like I said, but psychologically, emotionally, physiologically, psychologically, if I haven't said that already. All those things, we changed the way we look at life. We changed the way we look at other people. A lot of things changed. But we're right back where we were. So today, while you're doing whatever it is you're going to do, hope you take a few seconds to reflect on that. Reflect on what today means and what we can do to make things better. I hope we can remember those that lost their lives 15 years ago, and those that lost their lives fighting for that very freedom, that very incident, up until now, and those that will continue to give their lives in the future. Be safe in whatever it is you're doing. If you're wearing a uniform, don't matter if it's military, law enforcement, firefighter, paramedic, doesn't matter what it is. Be safe. Watch yourself. Watch your partners. Because this country is still very much under attack. We get reports all the time of people wanting to attack this country. People wanting to cause harm to those that just want to do good. If you're not in a uniform and you're not in that kind of service, just be vigilant. Look for things that aren't normal. If you see something that's just not right, it's probably not right. Say something to somebody. I know we've been beating this to death, but if you see something, say something. It's more than just words. You could potentially save a life, 2 lives, 3 lives, 100 lives, 1,000,000 lives. You don't know. You don't know. I don't know. So with that, have fun, stay safe. As always, get some.